In front, there's a huge crash between the top three, but the two Rebels were definitely involved. On the inside, gets caught in Lance Stroll, and wow! Perez pulling alongside Freddie and actually tapping him off the track.
Kvyat, Ocon and Lance are all 2 seconds away, mate.
Will Freddie get DRS for the next straight? He will do. Up the inside of turn 8, he actually gains that position, which is going to help him out. An absolute treat, and he's pulled out a gap behind. Could Lance Stroll gain 2 positions in a matter of corners here? Here is Stroll going to go round the outside of turn number 13. He actually gets forced out wide by Freddie, and actually Carlos Sainz out of absolutely nowhere has just taken the 2 positions.
Tough one to take, Freddie, but we're confident this is just a small blip. Let's come back strong in Europe.
So guys, welcome back today to a brand new video. This is Freddie Gray, episode number 5, season 4, the 2017 season. Obviously this is the title defense year, but last time out in Russia, Freddie endured a very difficult race, managing to hold behind the 3 cars at the end, the 2 Toro Rossos and his teammate Lance Stroll, showing some real fight at the end there, and it was a bit of a reality check really for Freddie himself and obviously the Williams F1 team as well. This weekend we start the European season, the Spanish Grand Prix. Freddie's not expecting too much from this weekend. He's expecting the Ferraris, the Red Bulls and the Mercedes to be quite far ahead, but maybe if you can challenge them by doing a bit of a unique strategy that could maybe allow him to fight it up there in the top 5 this weekend. Obviously it's been a few weeks since the last race in Russia. Freddie has been, as usual, preparing hard for the race. Obviously it really does take a lot out of you in F1 race, as I've mentioned before, mentally and physically. It's very important to keep up to shape, otherwise you won't be able to handle the pressures that come with an F1 weekend. But Freddie has done that all fine, despite having a lot of fun throughout his time back in his homeland. He has still, kept in good shape, still done all of his scheduled exercises as planned with his trainer. And yes, that's about it then. Let's go into Spain now for the qualifying report. It was a glorious day on the outskirts of Barcelona as the sun shone down on the Catalunya track, which saw Lewis Hamilton take pole position in a closely fought battle with teammate Valtteri Bottas. The 2 Red Bulls followed suit and were hoping to finally get some luck after a miserable opening to 2017. Romain Grosjean outqualified Sebastian Vettel for the first time this season as the pair languished in 5th and 6th. It was arguably McLaren's strongest qualifying showing, with Van Dorn and Alonso just half a second off pole, as the strugglers of previous seasons were beginning to find a consistent run of form. Lance Stroll couldn't repeat his qualifying heroics from Sochi, but a huge positive was out-qualifying teammate Freddie Gray by 7/10 of a second as the 2 Toro Rossos split the Williams cars. Force India endured a much tougher session, with both Perez and Ocon convincingly exiting in Q2, as Magnussen and Palmer continued their qualifying struggles after yet another Q1 elimination. The first 4 rows of the grid were made up of identical cars, with a trend being broken on row 5 as Stroll and Sainz made it into Q3 at the expense of Kvyat and Freddie Gray. Antonio Giovinazzi has gone off the ball in recent races, but as proven in qualifying, he still very much has his more experienced teammate Kevin Magnussen firmly in his back pocket. President Ocon showed it wasn't all well and dandy at Force India, while Nico Rosberg's difficult season continued. The pressure continues to ramp up on Palmer and Magnussen, who are struggling to find qualifying form, and it was Marcus Ericsson who was fastest out of the bottom 2 teams, 6 tenths ahead of the more highly rated Pascal Wehrlein, who languished last behind the 2 Manor-Mercedes cars. So real disappointment for Freddie Gray in qualifying yesterday. He lines up 12th on the grid, really not where he wants to be, being out-qualified by Lance Stroll in the last 2 races now, something that he definitely needs to rectify and work on. Arguably Russia and Spain are 2 of his weaker tracks on the entire Formula 1 calendar, but that's no excuse really. He should be able to sort of compose himself and sort of apply himself to every single track on the calendar. But obviously it's a long race today, can allow for quite interesting strategy calls, so obviously Freddie will look to take advantage of that, and we'll see later on what the Williams team decide to do with him to get him as high up in the race order as possible. The option here is to do a 2-stop or a 3-stop, but Freddie might try something even crazier and perhaps even going for a 1-stop, going from the mediums onto the hard tyres. We'll have to see how it pans out, have to see what the Williams team actually decide later on in the race.
Let's ignore yesterday. If we get a good start, then we're right in contention.
Yep, absolutely. Just need to make the most of the start and not let your head drop so early on in the race, as we are underway now for the start of the Spanish Grand Prix. Very, very good launch from Freddie Gray. Danny Kvyat is already demoted into 12th position as they bear down into turn 1 now. Breaking down very early, does Freddie, actually being sought by quite a few cars. Giovinazzi, Ocon and Kvyat. Freddie going to try go around the outside of Giovinazzi here into turn number 3, which he just about has done. He's squeezing out Esteban Ocon as he moves up into P12, but Ocon's still there on the inside. He can't quite shrug him off yet, and it would have been a bit risky there to go down the inside of the two Toro Rosso cars, who are really battling it out here. Carlos Sainz and Danny Kvyat. Toro Rosso really making some strides in recent races, and once again a very good qualifying display, and they are battling with Freddie Gray here, with Lance Stroll just ahead of them. Freddie going side by side with Kvyat into turn number 7. Still side by side with actually Carlos Sainz, I do apologise. He does have the high ground, however, the Spaniard, at his home race into turn number 9, and he does defend the position for now. Freddie does try a bit of a switch back there, a cutback, but it doesn't quite work out, can't quite get the traction, and you can already sense in this early stage of the race that it will be a very frustrating afternoon for Freddie. He's going to have to really bide his time and be patient, but look, only on lap 3, look how much he's dropped back already from the two Toro Rosso cars. Now he's under pressure from Esteban Ocon, who's diving one up the inside of turn number 10. Can Ocon pull off the move here as they approach turn 11 and turn 12? As Freddie gets spun round by Ocon, he gets tagged, and Freddie is losing a further few positions. Just so frustrating already in the early stages of this Spanish Grand Prix. I think if anything it was Freddie's fault. Ocon had the right to that corner, and Freddie really should have backed off and just accepted that Ocon had the position sealed. So Freddie unfortunately getting himself into that situation, but end of lap 3 did not take long at all to catch up to Nico Rosberg, and hopefully with the aid of DRS Freddie should be able to pull off an easy move here on the Renault driver, the German. He's having a very difficult season at his new team so far in this 2017 season. Renault not quite making the strides forward that they were expecting in pre-season, but there's still plenty of time to go in this 2017 season for them to improve. But now onto lap 5, interestingly, Lewis Hamilton has already pitted in, and Freddie's actually going to get right ahead of him here, but it just kind of shows how much time Freddie has already lost in this first stint from that spin, and just from his pure lack of pace. How, you know, considering that Hamilton has made a stop, costing him a good 20 seconds, that's how much Freddie has fallen back from the leaders already, and this really does call for a really crazy, you know, out of the blue strategy call, and looks like Hamilton is actually making the move up the inside of turn number 10 as they file through now, still side by side here. Freddie's not going to give this up easily against his championship rival, but once again, same as Ocon, he actually makes contact, thankfully not resulting in a spin, but he has to take to the grass, and Freddie just needs to back off there. He needs to know when he has lost a position and when it's not his. Hamilton even cut the corner there to try and give Freddie as much room as possible, so Freddie really should have backed off there. And here is Verstappen, and also looks like Valtteri Bottas as well exiting the pit lane, so Freddie has lost so much time already. But if these guys are doing 2 or even 3 stops, then you never know, Freddie could be in contention come the end of the race. It's still not out of the question just yet, as here is a replay of Lance Stroll getting ploughed into the wall by one of his on-track rivals there, Stoffel Vandoorne, who is obviously racing for a position. Stroll has already pitted, but Vandoorne completely turns in on him, and actually Stroll goes into the wall and loses a bit of his front wing, costing him quite a few positions and a lot of time. So I'd be very surprised if Vandoorne doesn't have a penalty for that. But here is Max Verstappen making the move on Freddie after rejoining behind him on the final lap. Here is Grosjean also exiting the pit lane as well, and Verstappen actually crashes out. He's lost the front wheel there, and Grosjean, that is very naughty, and the safety car has been deployed. Freddie getting the best view in the house for that particular incident. Grosjean, I cannot believe what he did there. Crazy, crazy stuff. Verstappen just completely getting turned into. Grosjean having no spatial awareness whatsoever, and Grosjean, really, really stupid driving. And poor Verstappen, still no points as his race win in Melbourne. Unbelievable scenes for him in this 2017 season. Can't get any luck whatsoever.
Okay, Freddie, we're going to keep track position and stick to the one stop.
So indeed, this safety car period should actually help or even aid Freddie's, bid to do a one-stop in this Spanish Grand Prix. He's currently up in 3rd. What he decided to do was just keep track position. That's what Williams thought was best for now, and just hope that the cars behind kind of almost held each other up and allowing Freddie to sort of pull away, because the tyre wear isn't actually that bad, very surprisingly. Spain is one of the worst tracks on the calendar for actual tyre wear, and the tyres degrade so fast around Catalunya. But thankfully today, Freddie's experiencing none of those issues. It's just a pure lack of pace in the car which is affecting him today, as Grosjean is going up the inside of Valtteri Bottas into turn number 1. Those two battling for the effective race lead. I believe Lewis Hamilton and Daniel Ricciardo take advantage of the safety car and actually pitted for a second time, so we'll have to see where they sort of filter in once Bottas and Grosjean pit in once again. But later on in the lap, Freddie obviously can't keep up with Bottas and Romain Grosjean, almost just let Sebastian Vettel through, doesn't want to destroy his tyres by battling with a car who he won't really be in contention with come the end of the race. But at the moment, this is Stoffel Van Dorn overtaking Danny Kvyat, and these sort of guys here will be the ones that Freddie will be battling with later on. You can see Freddie just at the front of that shot there, and once again here as Van Dorn overtakes Jolyon Palmer for 5th position. Now on to lap 16. This is about the lap that Freddie will be coming into the pit, but it almost depends here if he can keep Stoffel Van Dorn behind. He's going down to the inside here, Van Dorn, the Belgian, up the inside of turn number 10, obviously with the aid of the DRS, and Freddie has learnt from before that he needs to back off into this corner, which he has done, thankfully. And I think it's about time now that Freddie does make his way into the pit lane, because he's also got Lewis Hamilton behind, ready to pressurise. He files through the chicane for the final time before he comes into the pit lane for the one and only time today onto the hard tyres. And at the moment he's in effective 5th position, so actually it's looking very healthy at the moment for a potential point finish, and that is brilliant considering what he saw at the start of the race, considering how Freddie started off the race, obviously the spin and the incident with Esteban Ocon. Talking of Ocon, Freddie rejoins just ahead, a 2.1 second pit stop. Brilliant work there from the Williams team. Currently Freddie is in P15 ahead of all the cars behind him, thankfully. No real traffic at pit exit, apart from it looks like Danny Kvyat, who I did mention before, who as a car who Freddie might be battling in this final stint. More cars exiting now, including Lance Stroll. So actually Freddie once again ahead of Lance Stroll. Obviously Stroll obviously had that incident earlier, and he has been in the wars today, obviously the incident with Stoffel Van Dorn, who has rejoined well ahead of Freddie. So really Freddie kind of has to be looking behind at this point rather than ahead of him. Danny Kvyat, the Russian here in the Toro Rosso, is now putting Freddie under all sorts of pressure, darting to the outside here, and he has already made the move stick with DRS and the slipstream. And unfortunately for now, Freddie's just going to have to be patient here as he goes in way too hot, makes contact with Kvyat, but allows the Russian here to regain his lead. But now, end of lap 22, Freddie is not giving up here without a fight. It's going to be relentless battling from now until the end of the Grand Prix. He sets his personal best lap of the race so far. He streams past Danny Kvyat there into P6, and Freddie makes a nice move up the inside, even before turn 1. But look at that, if you saw in the distance there, that is Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull, who will really be closing down these guys in the coming laps. In fact, he has done now. You'll see in a minute in the mirrors, there is Daniel Ricciardo. Kvyat going to the outside, to the inside, sorry, and Ricciardo going to the outside into turn number 1. They have both swamped Freddie here into turn 1, but can Freddie do anything about that? Shows some real fight, some real commitment here around the outside. Look at this mentality for Freddie here, to never give up. A never say die attitude is in full flow right now for Freddie, as he is keeping the Red Bull car of Daniel Ricciardo, the Australian, at bay for the time being. Unbelievable here. And now he has Danny Kvyat as they approach the next corner into turn number 6. Can he dive one up the inside? Yes, he does, very aggressively, avoids contact with the Toro Rosso, and Daniel Ricciardo has also made his way through into P7. But for now, as you can see here from Kvyat, Freddie comes barging in, doesn't make any contact though, however, so it is a clean move. Well, not the cleanest move that Freddie's ever known, definitely not the neatest or the tightest move, making a huge lockup in the process, but sometimes you've got to take those sort of risks in order to succeed. But now later on, Ricciardo dives up the inside of Freddie into turn number 7. Freddie trying a switchback here. He's on the outside now for turn number 9 as they sweep round that right hander. Freddie is just about maintained the position for now. He didn't get DRS, however, but I think he has just about defended it there. So it's going to be a real show of Freddie's true mentality here, as I've mentioned before, to try and keep all of these guys behind. He just doesn't have the pace this weekend once again. But here is Ricciardo on the inside. He's breezing past Freddie at the moment, but Freddie has something to say about that. He's going to go straight back around the outside of the Honey Badger there, forcing Ricciardo to almost take evasive action to try and avoid Freddie as he sweeps right back around the Red Bull Racing driver. Brilliant driving there from Freddie once once again proving that when things aren't going his way, he still can produce these sort of moments. Still in P6 though, so a very good point scoring finish on the cards, but look at the pressure from behind. I can't even talk about the end of the race yet. Look at this, it's far from over as Ricciardo is going to the inside. Well, there's Nico Rosberg. Oh my goodness me, look at this. We head down into turn 1. Alonso's also getting involved as well into turn number 1, and Freddie somehow comes out on top. I don't quite know how Freddie keeps on doing this. Into P6 still with Daniel Ricciardo in 7th, but I think Kvyat and also Fernando Alonso still behind. But Lance Stroll, who was just in this battle, is now out of the race. Unbelievable scenes here. Lance Stroll has retired, really not getting much luck at all this season. The safety car has been deployed, ruining the potential for more battling for the final 3 laps of the race. Absolutely crazy scenes here. Let's take a look at a replay of that entire battle into turn number 1. Daniel Ricciardo gets ahead of Freddie, breezes past him with the slipstream and the DRS. He stays tight onto the inside, almost concedes the position to Freddie. Ricciardo just wasn't aggressive enough in that situation. Alonso as well, we know what he's like in these sort of situations, but once again, similarly to Ricciardo, probably could have made that move stick on Freddie and Ricciardo, but unfortunately couldn't quite pull it off. And Kvyat got boxed in by Ricciardo and Freddie and lost position to Fernando Alonso. He is now down into P9. We can get a good view of it here from the perspective of Lance Stroll, seemingly just before his retirement. So we're going to have to see the cause of that in a second. Let's have a look now. Lance Stroll coming round the sweeping right hand, when he gets an engine failure. A huge engine failure there, perhaps a little bit of a concern for Williams and maybe Freddie in future races. That's the first engine failure that Mercedes, or Williams in fact, have experienced this season. But the whole thing, guys, with the safety car was a bit strange because it only stayed out for 1 lap. Freddie was told here to pass the safety car along with the rest of the, chasing pack behind him. And that was it. The safety car came in at the end of that lap, caught up only like 3 of the leaders, and that was it. Now in the final lap of the race, Daniel Ricciardo is still pressurising Freddie. Relentless pressure, as I've mentioned before. Ricciardo down the inside of turn 1, Freddie leaving the Australian there enough room to pass, and it's also another obstacle to overcome, a back marker in the form of Pierre Gasly, who should be getting blue flags waved right in his face right now. Should be getting many team radio messages telling him to move out of the way and not ruin this battle. Freddie here still under pressure from Ricciardo, but Gasly is not helping whatsoever. He's a back marker. He should be moving out of the way. He's still not doing so, and Ricciardo is really mounting up the pressure here, but Gasly thankfully moves out of the way of Freddie, but still that causes Ricciardo to drop back. So it's not over yet. Freddie could still be pressurised here from Ricciardo now into turn number 10 for the final time. Ricciardo is on the outside. He tries one more attempt on the outside, but Freddie gets the drive out of the corner, the traction and everything like that, and it seems as if Freddie has just about done enough here to maintain P6. This has been such a huge fight, but Freddie has really pulled through, just showing how strong he is mentally. No weaknesses being exposed in this race, just the car that really needs improving come the Monaco Grand Prix. Freddie's going to come across the line now for a very solid P6 finish.
Brilliant job today, mate. Well done for holding firm in the closing stages. Great job.
Certainly considering the circumstances today and the qualifying session and also the start of the race, Freddie doing an exceptional job. Really had to dig deep and work hard to keep that gap to Ricciardo, Kvyat, Alonso and Lance Stroll. Obviously Stroll retiring in the end, but there was still relentless pressure from those guys behind. So viewing the race results, it was Valtteri Bottas who won the Spanish Grand Prix, followed by Romain Grosjean in second place. A very closely fought battle between those two, as we saw after the safety car period. Sebastian Vettel coming through in third, with Lewis Hamilton dropping back to fourth. Not a great result for him in the end. Stoffel van Dorn once again having a very strong weekend, with Freddie coming home in sixth, with Ricciardo in seventh, Alonso overtaking Kvyat with just a few laps to go to seal 8th position, Kvyat in 9th, and Sergio Perez rounding out the points in 10th, with once again Kevin Magnussen just missing out on points for the Haas F1 team. A very good showing once again. So in the Drivers' Championship, it is still Valtteri Bottas that leads the way with 90 points, increasing that gap to Lewis Hamilton, who is now level with Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari on 70 points. Romain Grosjean now ahead of Freddie Gray on 55 points. Freddie back 1 point further back with 54. Freddie can be very happy with his efforts today, considering how badly qualifying and the start of the race went. To recover that well to P6, I think is a very, very good achievement. Stoffel Vandoorne in 6th, continuing his very strong season, a total of 42 points, with Verstappen once again pointless since that race in Melbourne. Fernando Alonso now only 1 point behind the Dutchman with 24 points, with Sergio Perez just scoring 1 point today for Force India. Daniel Ricciardo with his second set of Formula 1 points this season. He's now on 18, 1 behind Perez and 2 ahead of Esteban Ocon, who still rounds out the top 11. Now in the Constructors' Championship, it really is Mercedes and Ferrari running away with it at the moment. Mercedes on a total of 150 points, Ferrari 24 points back, 126 points they're on, with Williams and McLaren level on 66. Red Bull now in 5th, still really struggling at the moment to get a bit of luck, especially with Verstappen, who hasn't scored since Melbourne. Force India in 6th, after the heroics of Russia and also China, you could argue, with only 1 point to show for themselves today. Toro Rosso getting a further 2 points to add to their tally after Kvyat's 9th place finish, while Haas just finished outside the points with Kevin Magnussen, and Alfa Romeo, Manor-Mercedes and Renault still without any points, but obviously an opportunity is presented for them. We may see one of those teams get off the mark at the Monaco Grand Prix. We'll have to see about that. But yes, guys, if you have enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like. 80 likes is the target for today. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.